Welcome to another edition of Jai After Dark. Here we are again. Final episode, right, Shabnam? I'm Sameem, by the way. The White Lotus, Season 3, Episode 8. Amor Fati.
Yes, you are Sameem. I am Shabnam.
Yes.
And this episode was
That
called
never
Amor
changes.
Fati. That never changes, no.
But Amor Fati, that changes. And we're going to change it actually
We're going to change
now.
it, yeah. Let's change
but
it
actually,
right now.
you know what? What does Amor Fati mean?
It means embracing your fate, loving your fate, accepting your fate.
Do you?
I try, I really do try. I mean, it's hard at the points in life when your fate sucks. It's not like you're going to be like, sure, I accept this. But I think over time, you kind of learn that the faster you get there, the better your life is, because you can't really change when shit happens.
This is like a strange time for this episode to come out because, again, we don't talk politics here, but there's been a lot of fate that we've all had to go through the last 2 days. As long as you have some money in some market somewhere, you don't have that money anymore. So I've been rethinking all this walking away from tech stuff the last 2 days, or should I just accept my fate? That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
guess my fate is everybody else's fate at this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all
What
of
are we
our
supposed
fates
to
are
do?
tied together, just like Rick and Chelsea's fate was
I
tied
know.
together. Just,
I know.
Our fate is tied together as well.
the most obvious two deaths coming of all time, by the way.
Well, I
Ever.
just have to say, you said that Rick wasn't the shooter, that Rick was a good guy. I think deep down, Rick is a good guy, but he still is the shooter. And by the way, I have to apologize to you for saying that you have Rick-esque energy, because you're not
a murderer.
This, this is not it for you.
Look, okay, so I guess we can get into Rick and Chelsea, but first things first, I do want to retitle this episode, and I think you came up with something, right?
Yeah, so I retitled it to Patience is a Virtue, which I don't know how entertaining that title is, but I think it's better than Amor Fati, because instead of embracing your fate, if you were just a little more patient, maybe you could turn things in a different direction,
What do you mean? Like, who are you referring to?
Like
and
Rick?
Chelsea? Yeah.
If he just
Chilled
calmed his balls for like
Yeah.
60 minutes, then he could have talked to Amrita and she probably would have saved the day.
Hey, he went to the right person.
He did. 100%.
He went to the right person. So, hey, before we forget, thank you everyone for listening to our episode today, but we're going to have a special episode that is released in 2 days on Thursday of this week. And Shabnam and I have the opportunity and the privilege to speak with Shalini Paris, who plays Amrita on the White Lotus. And it was an amazing conversation. So we will release that on Thursday.
Yeah. It's
Stay
an
tuned
exciting
for
one.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
This is where I'm at with Rick. And
Okay.
yes, we knew he wasn't a good guy. I was being somewhat playful and facetious where I said he was a good guy. But the only thing that I didn't like about Rick's character was it got a little tiresome, repetitive, and a little old. You ruined my life. You ruined my life. It's sort of like we all have hands to play, and to be like in your 50s or something and still going on and on about the one piece of trauma that your entire life is defined as. Obviously, he's a complicated character and a complicated man. So that's the only thing that I was sort of like, okay, it's a one-shot sort of personality trait. And usually people aren't like that, right? So what do you think about that? That's the only thing like about Rick that I was a little off about.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I wonder what the backstory is of Rick. Maybe his mom just died right before this trip, right? If that happened, I could see this making more sense.
Yeah.
So I think there's some potentially missing information, but you're right. For somebody, I don't know, how old is he supposed to be? In his like mid 50s or something? For someone in their mid 50s to be so charged with this like trauma from their childhood still, and have not been able to like resolve it or put it behind them. It almost feels like there had to have been something that triggered him for that to be the case at this time, rather than it to be like random. But then on the other hand, I mean, do we potentially know people who like carry the same trauma their entire life and can never let go of it? I mean, sure. Right.
Oh, so, I mean, don't let go. I think it's really difficult to let go of trauma. Obviously, that is traumatic.
Right.
Sorry for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go scale 1 to 10 what is a terrible trauma and what's like an easy trauma. I don't think there's any such thing, because we're all such different people, and our tolerance for what we can handle is different from person to person. So Rick can't handle this, but most toxic men can't handle these sort of thoughts and feelings. And that's why, Shabnam, the first thing we talked about in the first episode was Rick, Timothy, and Saxon, I think. Like, there's like Am I tripping? But we said there was
unless
three
you're talking
people.
about Gaitok.
No, not Gaitok. We're talking about like three men
Yeah.
that have such ridiculous traits that they pour out when they meet someone. So the first thing Rick says is just pure rudeness to the staff, right? He doesn't want to wear the lei.
Yeah.
Like that's how he starts, right? So Rick's character arc, I actually did not enjoy it. As much as I thought Rick would be like my favorite character by the end of it, the more I think about the last 8 episodes, the more I'm like, this guy's just a dick, and you were totally right. So you can apologize to me, but I'm going to apologize to you because that character was not redeemed. The character was not saved. Frank saved himself more than Rick did.
Yeah, that's
Frank
right.
had one crazy night that just kept going.
And then he said back to the monastery, and he kept good to his word, right?
Beginning of the episode, he's got the titties, he's got the coke, he's got the drugs.
Yeah.
End of the episode, he's back in the monastery. So good for you, Frank. That's what Piper should have done. So
yeah.
That was hilarious, though. My man, Frank. Everyone's man, Frank.
Yeah, so that's how that starts, right? Like we see this wild night, and I texted you like a few minutes into the episode. I'm like 3 minutes in, and Frank gets spanked on the ass, and like I knew you were going to expect something different than it was, which is why I said that.
He didn't get spanked in the ass, though, right? He was just
he did.
Sort
he
of
got
in his
a little
underwear,
tap,
a little tap from the lady or from the lady
Yeah.
boy, or we're not 100% sure. Like,
Yeah.
But hey, that looks like a nice ass hotel, by the way. So maybe I should have gone to Thailand, and I would have ended up. No, I wouldn't have ended up like that. What am I saying?
Yeah, no. So then after, Rick forcefully leaves Frank because Frank's totally trying to suck him in for the day, he ends up going back to the White Lotus where he gets together with Chelsea, and Chelsea's like so happy to see him. She runs up to him. They have this great meal where they're talking about their relationship, and she says, I think we're going to be together forever. And he says, that's the plan. And she's so happy. You can see that they're so connected, and he's kind of at peace. It's such a juxtaposition to what happens next. So I don't want to get into the full finale, but when Srithala's husband, Jim, I think his name is Jim. I know last time I said it was like something else, but I think his name is Jim. So when Srithala's husband comes up to him at breakfast the next morning and kind of confronts him, I'm just like, what would possess him to cut so deep, right?
Yeah.
Like to be like, your mom's a slut and she's a liar. And
I mean, dude came to his house and tipped his chair over, right?
But that's his kid.
And it's not his kid. Like, I'm going to say the same thing. It's not his real kid, because if it's your real kid, things can shift away, right? So there's no actual bond between Jim and Rick. They're not actual.
So you're
father
saying
and
even
son.
if they're biologically related, like
they're not.
Jim just doesn't have that feeling for Rick,
No.
right?
He called his mom a
sad.
slut, and I mean, we can get into it deeper. We don't know what happens, but I'm assuming it was something like Rick's mom was, going from Jim to another man. Jim got mad. That is his son, but then she moved on, and then who knows what happens. Also, Rick, you don't want to verify your mom's story a little bit? Just a little bit?
Yeah, I know.
Before being a brooding man.
Like
in
he
your
had
50s.
a meltdown. He had like a complete meltdown. That was a deep cut, but I would just hope maybe as a full-grown adult you could kind of sit with that and be like, hey, let me think about like what part of this is true, what part of it might not be true, like, but
no, he
I
didn't
don't
do
know.
that though, right? He just like Chelsea
He
tells him not
spiraled.
to do it. He spirals all within a few minutes, and then I mean, we know what's coming, right? Like, but I'm not surprised that this was the ending, by the way, and that's where the source of the gunshots were. But man, justice for Chelsea, but not Rick. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so should we get into some of the other character clusters before we get to the death?
Yeah. One thing that you also texted me after the Frank gets slapped on the ass thing, you also said the first hour of this episode is very much just like episodes 1 through 7, which is totally true. And then I paused it randomly, and there was 56 minutes that had gone by because I felt like this episode should be over, right? And then you're totally correct. And the next 30 minutes is the culmination of Mike White's brain vomit, whatever this is that he came up with. But the first hour is literally just build up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So Gaitok and Mook, let's go to them next. So Gaitok tells Mook he has info about the robbery, right? And he basically decides he's going to tell Pilek about what he knows. But before he gets a chance to, he goes to Valentine and starts asking Valentine about the names of the guys that were at the fight, right? And Valentine says he barely knows them and he doesn't really know their names. He's totally bullshitting and lying, right? And then Valentine comes up to him later and is like, hey, I know you know that it was us, but those guys and me, we're all going to get deported and we're going to get killed back home and they have no way to make money. So can you just like do me a solid?
You are killing me. If you tell, you are killing me.
Yeah. And so this totally gets to Gaitok, right? Because he doesn't want to hurt people. And so he's kind of mulling it over. Fabian comes and interrupts them to make sure Valentine asks Jacqueline if she can take a picture with Srithela the next day. And then
worst storyline of the White Lotus, Fabian. Yeah. Can we say it here?
Yeah.
The worst. I'm sorry. The workers of the hotel were interacting with the guests in a much more meaningful way in season 1 and 2.
I agree.
This was some bullshit. Yeah. I'm sorry. It was cut. It was cut. I think something happens because he sings for what? 30. I was about to say 30 seconds. I don't even think it was 30 seconds. I think it was
it's
like
a red
3
herring.
seconds. Yeah.
But I'm totally fine with Fabian and the character and Mike White putting him in for the simple reason that when the shooting started, he's like,
in the water.
And he like falls in the water.
I thought he got shot. Comedic. And I'm like, you're going to kill Fabian off a bullet like that? I don't want that to happen either, though, right? You didn't want that guy to die either. He didn't do anything. So
he was just being a wuss, and it was hilarious. I loved it. I was like,
it's almost like he built that entire setup. You're totally right. Maybe it was for that final scene because Lori takes off. Lori takes off if you rewind it, and then Fabian goes straight to the water.
Yeah, he's like, ah. Oh my God, it was the best scream ever.
Yeah.
He should get some like People's Choice Award or something for that because it was hilarious.
Dude, that's a great point, by the way. This was a very let me see who can win an Emmy or I don't know what the awards are. When Carrie Coon starts crying and shit, she's like, this is my nomination for Best Supporting Actress of Oscars.
Exactly.
So you're totally right. There was a lot of overacting.
But how could they not, how could everyone on set not bust out laughing after that Fabian scream and fall?
It reminds me of the Deli Boys. So we reviewed the Deli Boys on Hulu, and the uncle, his white adopted son, it's not, but his right-hand man, remember he just yells same way when he gets killed. He's like, ah! It's the same exact scream, same face. Also, pasty white
but that's
guys.
A comedy. This isn't supposed to be a comedy.
But it was a black comedy, right? What did you think about Zion's acting? Let's just talk about that here. His acting, not what he looks like, not who
I think his
acting.
I think his acting was good because his acting reflected the way somebody like him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. At first, I was like, "This is some WBCW shit," the way he was acting like Drake in Degrassi. That's how Drake would act in Degrassi Junior High. By the way, Drake came up as a child actor, right? He's not a gangster. I'm just letting everyone know. So, but then I realized you're totally correct. He's a college graduate studying for law school. He's supposed to be, or is it the
Isn't he an MBA? He just graduated from his MBA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually better because that's how somebody with all the confidence in the world would act, right?
Yeah.
Before they know that's not how you go negotiate things.
But that's
so great. The way that you put it, I think actually makes sense. Maybe he was supposed to act like that.
Yeah, I think so. So anyways, with Gaitok, just to finish that up, he ends up going to Pilek and being like, hey, I think this job isn't right for me and I think I need to quit, right? And he shares this with Mook before and she looks at him like, you're such a little bitch. And she tells him she's too busy for dinner. And so Pilek basically tells him... Yeah,
so it wasn't a honey potty thing. It was really just that she turned on by violence. That's it. That's her thing.
She wants to a man that's gonna.
Then go get that man. Leave my boy Gaitok alone, dude. You should lean into the teachings of Buddha, and you didn't. And it kind of sucks.
Well, okay. So Pilek ends up telling him look, go away. I'll talk to you later. Think about this before you do it. And I feel like Mook wants him to be this guy that's going to be really ambitious and do whatever it takes to get wherever it takes because that's the kind of man she wants to be with, and you feel like maybe he's not going to be that guy, but then you know things
do we need this much ambition in the world? Do we? Because the way that I took this storyline was obviously Gaitok ends up being a core component of the storyline of the murder or whatever you want to call it when we get there. But the storyline is him being a local of the Thai economy, and this is what he has to do to have a life and to provide for himself and his family if he marries Mook and has kids or whoever it is. So I take it more as a working man situation where he doesn't have a lot of choice. He has to cater to the Canadians, the Americans, and the Europeans that are coming to Thailand. And then Mook is like fucking everything up.
Okay, so
he could have a good life without her.
Yeah. So this is my thought is I don't think he could. I think he could have like a very lower middle class life without this push she gave him. I think that economically, the people at the bottom and the people at the top have the most moral conflict in their day-to-day life of like, are they going to do these things to get ahead in their job that are morally questionable? I think like the people, like I said, are the richest people and the people that are at the lower class have those moral issues, which is why I feel like it's difficult to judge because I feel like I'm in the middle and I don't have a lot of like moral dilemmas every day at work. Yeah. Although if I think about it deeply, you know, have I worked at companies that do things I don't agree with? Of course. And I just don't think about it that deeply, you know?
That's how we end up in the middle class though, right? So
yeah,
we did what our superiors told us to do for many, many years. And they gave us a relatively comfortable life, right? As long as you don't talk back. So with Gaitok, like all he could really do is either take the gun or quit. And he doesn't snitch, but maybe he should have just snitched. I don't know. On Valentine.
Well, so he got to keep a little bit of his integrity or value in that. Right. So,
and he got the ultimate reward where Sitala and Mook are just like, this guy's a badass. So he ends up. So this is what, like, you know, we can talk about it more at the end of our episode, but Gaitok ends up doing what everybody wants him to do. What you think you have to do to be successful, it's not making him happy. You can just see it in his face. Like, this isn't what he wanted, but this is what people strive for.
I mean, I think that it's going to make him happy in the short term and medium term because he's going to get Mook. He's going to get his bag.
Yeah, he's going to be happy right when he's finishing. Like, what are you talking about? Of course he's going to be happy.
But then I think as he ages, he's going to start thinking more and more about like, is this really
when Mook starts looking like Sritala? Like what? What are you saying? Of course.
No, I mean, as he grow, you know, as you start thinking about life as you age, right? So that's what I mean.
Look, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and Mook is beautiful. And of course, men and women, the first thing you notice about a potential partner is the attractiveness, right? But this has gone on too long. Gaitok has been obsessed with Mook too long. You know that she's not exactly into you as who you are. She needs you to step up and be a little bit more dangerous, edgy. I guess. Yeah. Edgy. Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't date anyone like that, but I'm not Gaitok either, right? So I think what's the trade-off?
Well, I think a woman like Mook, maybe she likes Gaitok because maybe she sees that she can push him to be edgy and maybe drop his balls a little or whatever, but he's not going to go too far because deep down he does have integrity and he thinks about things morally. So maybe that's actually a good option for someone like her because she's like, okay, I can push him and get a little bit of stability and stuff, but he's not going to go insane, you know?
No, I mean, he's a very stable person that you can be with, and he was already stable without the gun. So hey, they could have role played something else, right? Like cops and robbers, like do it at home, right? Like tie Mook up to a chair. Gaitok comes home, undoes her hands. Don't worry, I got you. Let's get out of here. Like they could have done some role play at home. Everything would have been fine, but they didn't want to do that, right? So killing hotel guests
it really turns her on, you know?
Yeah. Hey, get those colonizers off the island.
the way she looked at him with those sexy eyes after that is just like, okay.
I mean, at the end, for everyone's reaction to these murders, there was no reaction. So everybody just went home, which was kind of strange. But I want to talk about the Ratliffs in particular. I don't think Saxon knows that his girl Chelsea got murdered. Right? Like, we'll talk about it. That's true. Weird shit here at the end where it doesn't seem like there's any continuity in what people know versus what they don't know.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ladies for a bit. So the first thing that annoyed me was that Jacqueline wakes up and tries to go wake Lori up for breakfast. And then Lori's sleeping and she tells Lori, I want to be your friend, and apologizes for sleeping with Valentine. And I
want to be Eskimo sisters. You have
but
sex
also,
with Valentine too.
This is my pet peeve. Why do you need to have this conversation with her when she's sleeping? Because then you're going to tell her she can go back to sleep. But who can go back to sleep after a conversation like that? Just wait until she actually wakes up. This is literally my pet peeve in life. When people do this to me, I want to punch them.
So you're sleeping and then people wake you up and they're like, hey, I need to talk to you about something seriously.
They'll be like, yeah, hey, can I like...
Who does that? Yeah. Brian?
Just people related to me, not Brian.
Who do you...
That's all I'll say. I'm not gonna I've lived a whole life over my last years of life. People will do this. They'll be like, hey, can I blah blah blah, or they'll ask me some like really intense question, or that they're gonna like do something whatever with my stuff, and then be like, hey, okay, go back to sleep, I'll catch you later. And it's like, no, I can't go to sleep now.
No, you're right. I'm just giving you a hard time. Of course, nobody wants to have a friendship conversation level 1 to 10. How good friends are we? Like, nobody wants to have a fucking conversation like that. I was right about these 3 ladies, right?
They're annoying as fuck.
They're just going to go home. That's what I said. I think I said it on episode 2 or 3. There's nothing that's going to happen with these ladies. I said someone's going to fuck Valentine. Jacqueline did. And then those 2 other guys showed up. Big deal. Carrie Coon's hooked up with them. I think I agree with you. I find all 3 of these women pretty irritating, and my love for them has not increased whatsoever. I don't care if they're going home.
Yeah.
So that's why they're like saying...
And they're going home with
blah,
exactly
blah, blah.
the same relationship as they had before.
Yeah.
Like, I think what would have been redeeming is if Lori would have realized that, like, they're all in different places, and she can just, like, take an emotional step back and be cool with them, but not try to get emotional comfort from them, because they're not really capable of giving that to her. But instead, she goes on this Emmy-winning speech about all the different religions, quote unquote, she's had in her life, of love, of work, and of motherhood, and nothing fulfilled her. And if they can, she's just so happy to be with them because at least that feels real or whatever. And
it's vapidness. I think it's vapidness. Yeah. I think I don't know what the commentary on her character specifically, for me, it shows someone that isn't happy in life. Doesn't matter what it would have been. That's why she's listing off things that she's done in her life, and none of them has made her happy. But hanging out with an A-list star, maybe that makes her at least feel validated. There's no happiness attached to it.
Yeah. But what was interesting was when they were on the boat again, going home, they were all like huddling around Jacqueline, like, oh my God, Jacqueline, are you okay? Are you okay? They were all like within 6 inches of each other when the shooting happened, but they have to comfort Jacqueline because she's the energy suck and the narcissist of the group. And I'm just like, I can't, the fact that they're going back into those patterns, it's just kind of like, there's nothing redeeming about that. It's just kind of like,
but I think that's the point, Shabnam. I think the point of these 3 characters is to show that, hey, people get stuck in the situation that they're presented. Yeah. And they have a hard time. And I think we just talked about this morning, right? When we called each other. Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to leave something that's a consistent in your life. It's an anchor that attaches you to some sort of fulfillment. And
in your brain. Yeah.
In your brain. Family, friendship, love, money, all of this is important. And friendships, I think, might be even the most complicated thing out of everything, because there's a lot that you can't expect from your friends. Yeah. Right? And Lori gets nothing from them. The only thing Jacqueline wanted to do was say her piece. Yeah. Right? And they let Lori say her piece, but Lori also had to say, you guys are the best. I love being with you. Like, she had to do all the platitude stuff too. So I agree with you, and I'm going to add something else to it. It's like the fake platitude shit. And this is the 3rd or 4th time I'm bringing it up. It's just so much fakeness, so much over the top. Like, hey, I have to open your door if I'm dating someone. I'm a princess 1 to 10 on the 10 level. They all have to treat each other like that. Yeah. And then they slightly, decrease it towards Lori. Yeah.
They slightly decrease it towards Kate, and like they slightly more. Yeah.
Towards them. So they want more from Lori. They're going to give her less. Yeah. So it is what it is. We were right about
Kate's
these ladies.
In the middle. Kate's in the middle, and Jacqueline's on top. And like, if there's
and none of that sounds sexy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Yeah. Like, thank you, Mike White, for. I think I've like really changed my mind and my life on who I want to be with for, eternity. I have already gone the white route, and I'm not saying that I would not date a white woman after this, but I have a lot to think about. And
you've tried 2 different flavors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Okay, so it's kind of the same vein. We've talked about the Lachlan's. Why do I keep saying that? The Ratliffs.
The Ratliffs, yeah.
Yeah, the Ratliffs. And, they have their own privilege. They can't live in any other environment. And what's the difference with these ladies? Nothing. Like, their lives are their lives. Kate's got her pastor. She's got her husband. Jacqueline's got her life. And Lori does seem to have, like, a good life, except she can't be happy. So, I don't know, man. I'm just thinking, like, there's something else out there for me. And this vapidness of the White Lotus is really turning me off.
Just to let you know, so when we were watching this, I turned to Brian and I was like, they're so annoying because this is so realistic for women. And it's nothing to do with
I didn't know
race.
that, Shabnam. And I don't know how I went through these divorces and watched this in such detail. And now I'm sitting here as a 45-year-old man admitting to the world that I got played as well by women like this in the past. So it just sucks.
I mean, I don't think
what
you're
did Brian
alone,
say?
so don't worry. I think he just laughed. He was just like,
Brian's like, that's why I came to this side.
Yeah, no. Brian was like, well, except for you, because you're so amazing and so level-headed and
I don't
so
hear this
well-adjusted.
shit. I'm just literally telling you I can't find anyone.
So lucky to have you.
Oh my God. We're not friends anymore. Kicking me at my lowest.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. I'm just joking.
Well, anyways,
and did he say that actually? That's kind of crazy.
No, he didn't actually say that. But I was thinking it. I'm
going to get a text from Brian again. Hey, stop bringing me up on the podcast. Anyways, I mean, any final thoughts on the ladies? Like I said, Lori runs at the end. When the shooting,
I got no final thoughts.
I got no final thoughts.
Whatever.
We've done this storyline. It was a great storyline. I think it takes a lot of energy and work and detail to present that sort of thick uncomfortableness, awkwardness in a friend group. So I think it was a great job because everybody was pretty pissed off at all three of these ladies, right? So
shout out to all three of these actresses and Mike White for making basic bitches look so
insane.
Yeah, and putting up a mirror, I think, for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to say one more controversial thing about these women.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't none of these ladies got asses, right? So let's move on.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
One more time. Just let me do it. That was the final time. Okay, just let me. That's the fourth time I've done it in 8 episodes. It's not that bad, right? I could have done it a lot more.
Yeah, you could have. But yeah, I mean, look, I compared myself to like which one would I be, and I said I'd be like a little bit like Lori or a little bit like Kate potentially, but
there's no way.
I'd like to think not, but look, I'm still a woman at the end of the day. Who knows?
No, I mean, come on, man. We talk in circles about some shit, right? Of course, like we've talked to each other about shit, but it's like with this level of disdain and just uncomfortableness and awkwardness. No, I don't think so. Life's too short to have this level of insecurity amongst your friend group. It's just too weird. And I already said it. Why have friends?
Yeah.
Let's move on. There's no ass here to talk about. Let's go.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're gonna move on to some ass. Lachlan, Saxon, Piper, and the family. Yeah. It's a lot of the ass of the season is in this family. So let's go. So Lachlan tells Piper he's serious about wanting to stay with her. And he's all in and she's not cool with it. And I feel like she's not cool with it because she starts to feel like she actually doesn't want to stay, And then he's like all gung-ho about it. And she's like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say gung-ho about it. It's Thailand. So I don't know how to say that in Thai, but
I don't know what you're saying.
So she's basically like, look, I don't want to be responsible for fucking up your life, so don't stay with me. And
yeah, but you have the quote, right? So it opens with the quote from the monk. I think you wrote it down here. We take life into our own hands and find solutions, but they are temporary and a quick fix. They create more anxiety and more suffering. There's no resolution to life's questions. It is easier to be patient once we finally accept that there is no resolution.
Yeah.
And I like how you wrote monk. After that.
Yeah, because that's who said it.
That's kind of what we discussed in the beginning of this episode. It's just sort of take it as it is. And I think Piper could not. Like she couldn't do it.
Well, she realized who she is inside, right?
Yeah,
like,
she
or
made her
not
feel
inside,
bad, right?
On the outside, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So at breakfast, Timothy's like, it was fine, right? You could survive without much, right? And she's like, no.
Otherwise, I'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's doing. He's creating a list.
Do you want me to euthanize you, or can you survive without much?
He's a hitman.
Right?
He's literally questioning his prey. He's like, This is like Dexter. There's a lot of similarities. Dexter would kill only people that were terrible. So he would tie them up, but he would get a confession first just to make sure.
Yeah.
And that's what this dude's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're not happy?
Seriously. So
He'd be like
so
the
diabolical.
worst psychiatrist, psychologist of all time. Oh, you're not feeling good about yourself? Well, what if I told you you could just end it?
Yeah.
This is insane.
With a smoothie.
It's quick.
It'll go down
painless.
easy. Yeah.
I don't know if we should put a trigger warning. We're not making jokes about suicide, by the way. This is in the White Lotus.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Mike White does say that it was to create the internal mechanisms of Timothy's brain. He like wanted us to see it.
Yeah.
So and we did.
Yeah.
We saw this guy
totally
go through
did.
pain, like
Yeah.
very clearly.
Yeah. But it's so funny because Piper says the food wasn't organic there.
Yeah. That's the first
but
thing
then
she said.
She says it
little
wasn't
bland. It's a little bland.
bland. I feel like, was she saying that just to get her mom to feel better and not go? Because how is the food in Thailand bland? I thought it was
But at
too
the
spicy
monastery,
for
though.
them. It doesn't
Not
matter.
at the White
like-
Lotus.
No, but
right?
I'm saying
it's two
like
different things.
sure, but the monastery they're going to eat more traditionally Thai food, which is probably going to be more spicy. Like,
I think
how
they
is it
just eat,
bland?
no. I think they just eat rice and seeds and fruit. I don't think they.
Interesting.
I don't actually
Put
know anything about
spices?
monk culinary culture, but it's something I think we can look up, and I think I
Yeah.
would like to. So yeah,
Yeah, and then she's like, didn't seem organic, which I feel like that's bullshit too, because it's like it's probably more organic than what we.
probably comes
Yeah.
straight from the field. Where do you think it came
Exactly.
from? Like you
Yeah.
think it came from Tyson's
Like-
chicken farms in the
I
middle of
know.
Thailand?
Yeah, or like Dole's, like
Yeah, maybe.
manufactured, like whatever. Probably not. They probably had an old lady.
No, they
monk
can't afford
picking
Dole, dude. The
exactly.
The tariffs on that is too high.
It. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty good
mean,
show as well. Like
Yeah.
the tariff show. We'll cover that one day.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's just like the Truman Show.
Yeah,
Except
and then
we
she
can't
like
see what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then she basically says that she starts crying and she's like, the idea that I'm a princess that needs things to be a certain way is just pathetic, and I'm so spoiled because I can't live like that. There's so much suffering in the world and we have it so easy. The only thing I agreed with her on was the air conditioner part, because last summer my air conditioner broke and we literally stayed somewhere else for a few weeks because of the air conditioner.
No, I remember-
I can't do legal work in hot, like whatever. So
Okay, Victoria.
So even though I've been to third world countries and slept in over 100-degree temperature because like air conditioners did break, I don't think I could do that again today.
Could you be poor the way that Timothy is asking? I don't think I could, and I'm perfectly okay admitting it. Like I'm used to a certain lifestyle, and it's not like the Lachlan's. Sorry, the Ratliffs. Jesus.
So if for some reason everything was to totally fall apart, do I think I could survive? Yes. But the way it functions today, it requires certain things. But if everything was going to change, I think I could survive, but it would be like everything would be different.
Yeah.
That's
how I think I could do it. Like if I need, like, of course I can downsize, especially when my daughter goes to college or whatever, then I won't have any kids. I don't have a wife. So living out of a van, a nice van, sounds pretty appealing, and getting my expenses down to almost nothing. I don't know how I would do that, but that does sound appealing. I just don't know if I would do it. It's really nice to have some comfort and luxuries. I don't know what the Ratliffs are talking about in terms of the best life ever, though. It's like you guys are all such narcissists.
Yeah.
Money and status, and we've talked about this as well. It's like you're on the bottom of the totem pole in my view, right? So yes, there's a lot of people that will hang out with you due to status, but I wouldn't. And
but they're on the top of
subsect
it, like
people
but
that
they're
won't.
maybe, but they're on the top if you just think about society.
But me and
right?
you are on
They
the
have
top too,
access.
then. Like,
Well, but they have access to everything. They're on the bottom when it comes to actual fulfillment and happiness, right?
Yeah.
They're on the top when it comes to like access, right? Like,
Well, I get it, yeah. I
their
mean,
money and status
yeah.
gives them access to everything. And then Victoria's completely narcissistic speech about no one has ever lived better than we do. The
Ugh, I
least
know.
we can do
Yeah.
is enjoy it. If we don't, it's offensive to all the people who can only dream of one day having what we do. It's like, wow, okay.
So this is
You're
sort of the
insane.
Gaitok thing I was mentioning, like what's wrong with a lower middle class life and just being a person that lives in your country at that lower middle class salary, just like everybody else has to, doesn't mean you're worse than anybody. It means you're in a mean or median of at least 85% of the population, most likely, right? So
Yeah.
I understand it's like insane for Victoria to say that. I don't think there's anything wrong with how people live. Like,
yeah,
how
exactly.
there's not enough money to chase.
Well, I think there's also something wrong with the way that they are living, right? Like, aside from the fact that they have done, we know from the show, morally questionable stuff, and they've probably done that all throughout their ancestry, like the last few generations at least, right? And that's how they got to where they got. Aside from that, like, you even see it in Saxon's face when he meets Chelsea on the beach and she sees Rick and he watches her hugging Rick. You see like
that.
He wants a sincere connection, and he's like starved for it, but he doesn't have it in his family because his family, like, their interactions are just bullshit. It's like,
if you're
gonna
worship me, but don't worship me.
Yeah, that was a great line. Don't give me a hand job,
Don't
just
worship me.
Stroke my
physically.
ego.
Yeah. That's what he should have said. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I agree with you. I think like Saxon ended up being the character that we wanted him to be. And we
Really?
said we said we wanted him to have a character arc.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't know if he would get there, but we weren't wrong. Like, I know we're making fun of him for being a virgin. You think that guy wouldn't go back to being a virgin if he could to start this new life? I think he would.
Yeah.
Out of everybody, he's the one that probably could stay at the monastery.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm giving him a little bit more kudos, maybe, but there was a character arc there.
You know what? I think Lachlan could stay at the monastery too. So Lachlan, his response to Saxon is like, well, all you care about is getting off, and I saw you lying there and you look like you felt left out, and I'm a pleaser in a family full of narcissists, right?
They did not have to explain what the reasoning was. They could have just left it, but
they did. I feel like this was one of my favorite parts of the episode because it's what I was saying from day one with this family. They're so dysfunctional, and like, because he's the youngest, everybody shits on him the most and violates his boundaries the most, and he is the most resilient one. And now he's like, I'm treating you the way you treat me, and now I've gone too far and I'm bad.
I mean, he touched his ding dong.
Yeah, but
that's quite a leap. But I understand what you're saying because they're the ones that put him in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, he's grown up like this where people constantly do this stuff to him, like constantly push his boundaries and act weird in front of him. He just thinks this is normal. And there's one time where he actually takes control, where he's not the victim. And now all of a sudden, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I agree with you. Because you're correct. Why is Saxon putting his barely legal 18-year-old brother in an orgy, essentially, with strangers that you just met at a resort? So where is the line? And why is that okay? Mm-hmm. Like, why is it okay for you to put people in situations that they're clearly not comfortable in? And it does fuck them up, right? Every situation like that when you're 17, 18, 19, of course, it adds to your life. So, no, I agree with you. I think he finally got back at Saxon, and it is that line in episode 4 or 5 or 3 even where he says, I'm going to get you one day.
Yeah.
And now Saxon's scared for life from Lachlan, right?
Yeah. Well, now he's going to back off probably and not fuck with him so much,
Stop fucking jerking off in front of your brother. Like, hey, we can count like what happened until that scene, and maybe some of these things got lost. But no, he had the door open. He was watching porn. He finally closes it. He wakes up with his ass out. He's asking his brother to basically lose his virginity to anybody he can without even a second thought. So that's the pressure culture that you always talk about. So I don't think Lachlan stroking his brother, I don't think it should get there from everything that happened to him, but I can see how it got there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't do that. Don't enmesh. Stop fucking enmeshing your kids. Like, what's your guys' problem? Like,
and violating boundaries.
And violating them. Like, you have a sex life. You have a wife or a husband, or if you're single, you might have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Why the fuck are you so obsessed with your 17-year-old having sex? His entire fucking life.
Or siblings, or like
siblings,
your
or whatever,
siblings being obsessed with their
or friendships or whatever. Like anything, just any relationship, dude. I am not a prude at all, and whatever people do on their own volition is totally fine with me. But you shouldn't do it because you have Patrick Schwarzenegger making you. Yeah, and he does make him. He made him go on that yacht. So the reason why he lost his virginity to Chloe was because of Saxon, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the pina coladas. So basically, Timothy, he finds out from Morgan, the staff at the White Lotus, that like, these seeds, basically you grind them up and people call it the suicide tree because that's how they kill themselves.
Why is there a suicide tree in a expensive resort in the middle of the villa?
Because they're like, these people are so happy and so wealthy and so having so much fun on vacation, they would never do it. Right.
Really quick, I did look up those seeds. If that seed implementation into your body, into your blood flow is caught within like 30 minutes or something like that, it's actually very survivable.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I think that's how it happened. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this was divine intervention, by the way. I think he just didn't take enough.
Well, and he barfed, right? Like
he barfed it out. Yeah. So it's actually not instantaneous poisonous. You fall and die. Of course, I think they were trying to show divine intervention, but yeah.
Yeah. So Timothy basically like gets all the fixings to make pina coladas for his family.
The worst pina colada on earth. He didn't even try to cover it up with like pineapple juice or anything.
Yeah.
He's just like pouring random seeds in it and that's it. He's like, no, it's cool. It's a pina colada. Like,
they would have totally have drank it for his sake to make him feel better anyways. So I think he was right. He didn't need to make it taste good. If he wanted to peer pressure them all into killing themselves with that pina colada, he could have done it. But then as soon as like, after dinner, they all toast and whatever. And of course, he's not giving it to Lachlan because Lachlan can survive being poor. So he tells Lachlan that he's underage and he needs to have a Coke. So Lachlan drinks a Coke and then everybody else is
Hey, you can jerk off your brother, but, can't be drinking alcohol, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And so he makes these pina coladas and then all of a sudden he knocks it out of Saxon's hand when they start drinking it because he pulls back. He has second thoughts about taking out his whole family with one blender full of alcohol, right?
Yeah, this is some Jim Jones Heaven's Gate bullshit. Not to get all historical, but Heaven's Gate down the street, 2 miles from my house, Rancho Santa Fe. 1992, 1993, I don't know. They had the Nike Airs that they all wore. And then they all 37 of them or something thought they were going to like go up into a spaceship. But they drank Kool-Aid, right? Because they copied it from Jim Jones, which is Waco, Texas. I think Timothy had been watching a little bit too much.
True crime?
No. Polygamy with Me Now. What's it called? Warren Jeffs. Didn't they all like marry each other and shit? And, his brothers also stroked each other. So the incest stuff survives as well. So very, very similar vibe to some previous cults, including the incest.
But the best part...
the ingestion of smoothies.
Yeah. And then the best part is his toast was about how perfect his family is. And he says, no suffering, no trauma. And my job is to keep all that away from you. And I love you. And they're all like, no suffering, no trauma. Like, what planet have you been on?
Yeah.
Is crazy. And the best part was he watches them drinking it. And then when he knocks it out of Saxon's hand, he says, the coconut milk is off.
The coconut milk is off. I know, I wrote that down. And then even Victoria was like, the coconut milk is off.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I can't. That would have been the worst thing that ever happened to her. Okay, I'm about to take a leap here, Shabnam. And I've been telling you about someone, right, that I hang out with here and there in San Diego, right? So I'm just going to say it. So the coconut milk is off, right?
Yeah.
And I just said that would have been the worst thing that ever happened to Victoria, right? That day, the coconut milk was off, right? Mm-hmm. So this person and I go to this like breakfast dinner spot in San Diego. So they're supposed to have breakfast all day, but we get there and the biscuits and gravy, that's only till 11 a.m., right? So this person says, verbatim, I think I'm going to cry. And I said, you're joking. She's like, no, it's tough. I legitimately wanted biscuits and gravy. And I think she was about to cry. And then she saw my face and she's like, I'm joking. And I'm like, I don't think you're joking. This is the fourth or fifth time you've said this about different things beyond biscuits and gravy. So yeah, I think Victoria and this person have a lot in common. I'm sorry, shit. Let's keep going. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It could be cheat day. Maybe they just really wanted biscuits and gravy. So,
I don't know. If they want biscuits and gravy, I was all for it. I don't think you need to cry over it, right? So if the coconut milk is off, I can see where that came from.
But I will say about Victoria, I kind of think like everyone's like freaking out over, oh my God, the coconut milk is off. That was like a way for them to tiptoe around Timothy, because I think they could all tell there's something off about him. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
They were all drinking this shitty ass pina colada for his sake, even though they didn't want to. And then he gave them some kind of out because he realized that he was being ridiculous. And so rather than being like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? They're like, yeah, the coconut milk is off. It's like this stupidity and insincerity of their relationship.
Also, the lorazepam. You still don't know that your husband jacked it?
Yeah, seriously.
The dude's
he finished them all.
She literally came back out and she's like, I'm going to let dad sleep.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I mean, Victoria's not... Okay. That's not why she exists.
Don't you know Pakistani families like this that sweep all their problems under the rug and pretend like nothing's wrong?
No. I don't think there's
not, right?
any justification for South Asians to, not talk about their issues. They're very forthcoming. They all have podcasts.
The most forthcoming culture I've ever did see.
Oh, man. I mean, I would say that the Ratliffs talk about stuff, but it is superficial. The difference is they can talk about things that we can't talk about, right? Like hooking up and sex and drinking and drugs and stuff like that. But we can
talk about things that they can't talk about.
Like what?
Like the fact there's suffering in the world and people if Piper talked about that with her mom more than once, her mom would have a cow and be like, why are you talking about that?
The first thing they said was, how can you live like this? These people can't live like this. And Victoria, of course, her epic speech about, hey, poor people want us to live like this, right? She might be right. I mean, there's people in this country that have a favorite billionaire. How can you have a favorite billionaire? You're poor as fuck, or you're struggling, or you're surviving paycheck to paycheck and you have a favorite billionaire. Grow up.
Yeah.
So I think people do look up to people like the Ratliffs, which is kind of sad.
So then Timothy, being the like super responsible lorazepam stealing parent that he is, doesn't wash out the blender.
Whatever, dude. This is a peak masculinity right here. You leave your dirty seeds everywhere that you try to clear
poisonous seeds.
Come on, man.
And then the next morning, everybody goes to breakfast except for him, who's sleeping. And then Lachlan, like father, like son, also doesn't wash the dirty blender and decides to just freaking make a new protein.
Dumbass teenager, dude, wash your shit.
I know, dude. I'm like, this is so disgusting. I would never be like, let me just like.
Also, it looks like phlegm. It looked like it was boogers.
So yeah.
Like what? And he like smells it. What overnight smell could possibly have gotten better from a fruit that kills you? The dumbest teenager move. Lachlan, one of my favorite characters of this show, but this kid's going to have some serious issues growing up, man. Day prior, you're jerking off your brother. The next day, your dad tries to kill you.
Yeah.
Back to back.
And then you almost kill yourself. It's just like, I don't know.
Well, I'm not blaming Lachlan, right? You're blaming Timothy though, right?
Right.
Like, you should put that shit away.
Yeah, so he makes the shake and he drinks the shake and then he thankfully barfs some of it out so he doesn't die. But
did you catch the scene, his dying scene? One? So he goes into the water, right? And the monks are looking down at him.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning of this episode, it's the same kind of thing. It's like a lot of translucent opening.
Transcendental,
with the transcendental, not translucent. Yeah. The monks are walking in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of like a Judgment Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like
that's kind of what I put with this. Yeah. And then they say, hey, you don't have to die.
And then he says, I think I met God or whatever, right?
It's interesting, right? Very spiritual. So this is kind of what we talked about. Mike White just this morning came out and told everyone to chill out. And our TA is going to be some Mike White quotes.
Yeah, I'm happy Lachlan didn't die. And Timothy is really happy he didn't die also, especially because Timothy was carrying that guilt with him.
Oh, I didn't like it at all, man. I was like watching TV and I was like, really? Like they're going to kill this kid like this? Like I didn't like it. But I'm glad, because it's a lot of hand jobs to be given out. Can't be killing that kid this early.
He's got a lot of life left to live, right?
He's got 2 hands.
Yeah. And a lot of jobs to do.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Hey, somebody has to. That family ain't got no money anymore, right? So
yeah.
They're about to get into that suck dick for crack situation. Sorry.
For lorazepam, you mean?
Yeah, crack is a generic term, and sucking dick's a generic term too, right? So I don't actually mean those two literal things.
All right, cool. So Belinda...
Yeah, there's nothing cool about that. Shabnam's like, no, that's not cool.
Yeah. Like, all right. So Belinda and Zion. So they're having breakfast, their morning breakfast. And Porn Chai comes over and says hi. And Zion's like, oh, you guys are feeling each other. And she's like, oh, should I introduce you? He's like, I already met him, remember? And it was cute. It was funny. And then Zion basically tells her what I was telling you last time, which is that she needs to negotiate from Greg for a higher price.
You were right. You were totally right.
And I said 250,000. I said $1 million. Okay.
I didn't
think
it was gonna be $5 million.
Yeah. Zion goes in there like fresh MBA graduate and decides to drop $5 million. And then I loved,
what do they call those guys? High value men that can negotiate, these TikTok guys. Hey,
yeah,
he could be getting his MBA or he could be watching too much Andrew Tate. It could be either or.
He went there, sitting with his like knees really far apart and talking about his MBA, and he basically was like $5 million. That's what I want. That's 1% of what Tanya had. And I know that because I looked at all the public records, bitch, and you better give it to me if you want me and my mom to be quiet. So
that's a great way to do it because, hey, Srithala and John couldn't Google Rick and Frank. Would have saved them a lot of trouble, right? And Zion Googled them. He knows he had the money, so I thought it was a super corny negotiation scene. We already talked about it, but now we understand why. He's like a young kid. He's brash. He's arrogant. So he was supposed to act like that, and good for them.
He had the right mix of male privilege, education, and naivety to pull that off.
Yeah. Attractiveness too, right? It helps a lot to be that fucking hot.
Yeah.
when you're that smart and aggressive. So, hey, Gary Gregg is just a horny old man. He just wants to see Chloe get plowed.
Yeah.
That's it.
And $5 million was worth it to him.
It's probably worth it to him. Yeah. I mean, if you got that 500 mil, give that 1% away.
He's definitely not going to miss that.
That's a lot of men you can get through, right? If you give the 5 million, right? Chloe's going to be a really happy woman.
Yeah, exactly. And, Belinda gets her $5 million, but then she turns around and she kind of like snubs Porn Chai a little, right?
Hey, she Tanya-ed him.
Yeah, but
Tanya-ed Belinda, Porn Chai.
I know. But then I'm thinking like what Tanya did was different because Tanya kind of strung her along. She didn't string Porn Chai along.
Yeah, she never said
circumstances.
Yes.
It was like something they were thinking about. They honestly, also they only just met one freaking week ago. You
don't make lifetime decisions based on one person you met one time.
Yeah, and she was trying to find an investor so she could start a spa so that she could create some kind of stable financial situation for herself. She doesn't have that circumstance anymore. So I don't blame her for being like, look, I just want to, like she said to Zion, be rich for 5 minutes and relax. Like, calm down and do your thing, pay for Zion's school, like let him do his thing, buy yourself a house. And then if you still want to do a spa later, she can find Porn Chai. She can come back to Porn Chai and do that.
So this is the ultimate, I don't know if stoicism is like true happiness, but the quote that we talked about, right? To love your fate. This could be the easiest way to do it. And $5 million is obviously a lot of money. And it's not about the material possessions that $5 million buys. It's more the stoicism. The fact that you can wake up every day and just not have to care about anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she's referring to.
Yeah.
Finally. Like, I don't have to work my ass off.
And I was thinking, I was like, does she... Like, maybe the more money you have, the more tolerable it is to not have love because you have more ability to distract yourself with stuff, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know a little bit. It's not bad.
Well, I'm saying like, but also there's limits to that, right? Like you've only been single for like a year and a half or whatever, 2 years or whatever, right?
I mean, we'll get there and I'll figure it out, but I do see myself with Belinda. I also see myself with Natasha Rockwell. So let's.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sure Natasha Rockwell's got $5 million as well.
I just mean money and resources provide more ability to distract yourself from things that you don't have. So I think
then how do
she
you get
just
to
wants
that true happiness then? Like, is it just day-to-day living? Just
I don't think rich people are truly happy.
No, of course not. I mean, you saw this expose on the Ratliffs that told us everything we need to know about rich North Carolinians. But with Belinda, I think her goal is to be, I don't think it's happiness. It's sort of like, it's not meditation either. It's just the acceptance of this life can't last that long, right? And $5 million can make your day-to-day really easy. So does that make problems go away? Does that build happiness?
So if I was going to put myself in Belinda's shoes, I think Belinda has fought all her life for stability. I don't think falling in love is at the top of what she wants out of life. I think stability and calm and being able to not be like confined and oppressed by trying to provide for herself and her son is like really what she's always wanted. And love is secondary. And so now that she has that, she wants to just be in that energy and in that space and then decide like what she wants after that.
Yeah. I mean, she's a high value woman now, right? So
yeah,
she's going to have to beat the guys off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not to get all Lachlan.
But bunch.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. So the ending scenes.
Yeah.
So
and who is back?
Srithala? Is that who you're talking about?
Dude. Srithala, really?
Oh, Amrita.
Come on.
Dr. Amrita. So Zion goes to his session with Dr. Amrita, but before she takes him in, Rick comes up and panicked and completely agitated and says, I need to talk to you, Dr. Amrita. What does he tell Chelsea? Like, he's like, I have to go talk to my Indian lady or something like that. It was hilarious. Yeah. And then
she's
Chelsea...
Like, I need to talk to her. The Indian. He says the Indian.
Yeah. And then Chelsea grabs a donut and starts running and stress eating the donut. If they told her to do that, that's so good because so many women, I feel like, can relate to that. Like, oh my God, what do I do? It was really funny.
She needed that donut. Above all else. She's like, wait, okay, you're going to go kill this guy at his own hotel? Nice donut.
Well, hey, at least she got to eat that donut before she died. Okay. So,
hey, justice for Chelsea, okay?
Yeah, seriously. So he goes and, obviously Dr. Amrita is like a normal person that's like, I'm booked. I have this responsibility. But she reassures him and she's nice. She's like, you're going to be okay. Just give me 60 minutes. And of course, can Rick be okay for 60 minutes without doing something stupid?
He was sitting on the bench.
Yeah, he was sitting on the bench and then he saw Jim and Srithala come over taking their pictures with the ladies, with Jacqueline, the celebrity, and his bodyguards start walking away. So Rick sees his chance, runs up on Jim, pulls out the gun that Jim has in his, rib holster.
Yeah.
And
straight
says,
up blast
fuck
him.
You,
yeah.
And shoots him twice or 3 times. I don't know.
Man, I've seen so many movies with that gun holster. And they just go grab it. Especially, it's like a very common trope, I think, where an old white man is protected by his gun, but he's not fast enough to grab it, right? So then they just grab it. So, Rush Hour 2.
Yeah.
He like shows his gun to the bad guy, and the bad guy like just grabs it and kills him. I knew when I saw that gun, by the way, when he calls his mother a whore or whatever, I'm like, hey, that's a gun that's going to get him. It was so obvious. I was like, there's the gun.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other like psychological analysis that needs to be done on Jim of like why he came at his kid like that. Just leave him. Or just
all
he
did was push you down. He told you some goofy ass story about a movie. He didn't kill you.
Yeah.
He threw shadow punches at you, right? He's like, like that, and that's it. It was over.
I mean, dude, if you think about the fact that like you're a deadbeat dad and that's all the repercussion there was of that is like you got knocked off a chair and someone faking you out a couple times. It's like you got off great. Just like move on.
Yeah. Why are you blaming the mom? Like it's not the son's fault that you guys, like you're a terrible person, right? Obviously he was a murderer. He took advantage of people, blah, blah, blah. But the funniest part about all this is how Rick casually goes back there, hugs Chelsea, calls her his soulmate as well. They start eating breakfast. I'm like, bro, they have armed guards. And you went back to the hotel. You should have told Chelsea to leave. I understand. So my only gripe about all of this is like there was a lot of buildup, but then there was a lot of convenience, right? The Amrita and Zion wellness session that didn't really need to happen. Like they should have just left. Rick going back to the hotel, that would never have happened. And then, Gaitok just ending everything.
What if
it just seemed a little easy.
Yeah, what if Rick actually listened to Frank and he stayed and partied? This would have never happened.
And just brought Chelsea to Bangkok. Be like, hey, just fly to Bangkok. That's all he needed to do.
And we'll leave from here.
That's what I would have done, right? If I had Rick-esque energy and the person that I thought ruined my life, I'm a one-dimensional 55-year-old. I can't get over the one fact that my mom told me that this dude killed my dad. You got your relief, like you said.
Yeah.
Stay with Frank. Help him a little bit, by the way. Help him out.
Yeah.
And then fly Chelsea to Bangkok. But yeah, of course, I understand. Though I don't want to say the writing was off, but I do think there was a lot of convenience being taken in episode 8. A lot of things that just sort of didn't go with the flow. Like it was a very long elongation to like miss like these major plot holes.
But is there people like that would do? Actually, you're right. I don't think.
No, Rick wouldn't have gone back. He wouldn't have gone back.
He's
in real
not
life.
that stupid.
No, he's not. Yeah. He didn't go there for the White Lotus. He's not enjoying the White Lotus.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have gone back, right? I know he wanted to get away from Frank, but Bangkok's a big city.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring your girl to Bangkok, man.
Yeah, even if he goes back to whatever the island is, he could tell Chelsea, like, let's go somewhere else, right? Like,
I mean, whatever. I mean, that's just a plot hole.
Yeah.
But, you know, we knew these two were going to die. I think we kind of sensed it. They wanted to be together forever. The foreshadowing was a little bit too much.
Yeah, as soon as the whole like soulmate and
it was over.
You know,
it was game over for them.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what Chelsea wanted in her life, is to like achieve that, to like fix him.
And she fixed him too.
Yeah.
Nah, she didn't fix him. He fucking killed that guy.
She fixed him for 5 minutes.
5 minutes until the guy called his mom a slut.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So what do you think about Gaitok then? Like he comes out of nowhere, saves the day, I guess. Does he save the day? I don't know.
Well, Srithala yells at him, kill him, kill him.
She's a villain.
Right? She's like, shoot him. Like she's kind of goading him. And so then he finally does. And then he becomes this hero of the person.
And she knows that that's her
Like,
son. That's her like stepson, I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of diabolical too. Like, yeah, it's all kind of insane. But Gaitok does it.
Look, like this is a pretty controversial take, but don't women take their husband's sides through thick and thin against their kids? Like not all of them, but
no, I don't know. I don't think
she doesn't know
so.
Rick.
Sure, Rick is not her kid, so
and it's not her kid.
I think I think that's the difference, right?
She's like, it's your dad. He told me. I also think that was a cop out. I don't think there was any necessary reason for her to yell that. What does it do? The show's over.
Well, like, I think it makes him. It gives him regret, but it gives him regret.
There's no regret because he dies.
Well, yeah, but he regrets it in that moment, and then it makes everything so much more powerful and so much more.
I get it. I understand. It's just
because he killed his dad. He dies. His lover dies. Like every like.
And it's over.
It's all it's over.
But what do you think then? Because season 1 we didn't see that coming. Season 2 we didn't see it coming. This one we saw coming. The dad.
Really? You're the one that was saying that Rick isn't going to be the shooter.
Yeah, you're right. I did say that.
Yeah. And then the dad thing, I think the dad thing we saw coming.
The dad
but I didn't know that it was going to go
I said
like
Rick
this.
wasn't going to be the shooter, and I still, oh man, this is tough to say, but I wouldn't murder anyone. I wouldn't shoot anyone. But if that is who he is, a one-trick pony with one trauma byline that is essentially his entire personality, then I don't blame him for doing this. Because that's what he's supposed to do. Because that's what his brain is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little up in the air. Like, is he a bad person? Has he killed before? Was he an actual hitman?
I think he has killed before, right?
Yeah, like they refer to it and stuff, but we never know any specifics, right? And obviously Frank shows up with like that gun, so they've done bad shit in the past. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I like enjoyed the episode 8. I think it went by kind of fast, even though it was 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he has impulse control issues, right? And like maybe everybody does, but if your impulse is killing people, that's a tough
He told
one.
her to go away. He was going to kill him, and then what?
Yeah.
You just live as a murderer.
He didn't want her to die, right? And that's exactly what happened.
Did he not want her to die? He pulls her close. I was like,
well, he was pulling
scene.
her behind the like whatever the
and then she's standing there.
Thing.
It was obvious she was going to get shot, but he should have told her to go away, like for real, before he walked up to John and shot him. Like,
also,
she didn't go away.
Yeah. Also, he is a really good shot because he killed both of those.
Boom,
bodyguards.
got him.
I think he's definitely a hitman.
Yeah. Hey, also, we knew those 2 bodyguards were going to die, right? We knew.
Yeah. Because
because one was in the pool, but it wasn't Gaitok, right? And it wasn't an alligator either.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's why Gaitok got the job, is because they're dead, and he killed the guy who killed them. So
no, I know why he got it. So all of it ends up being Gaitok. Hey, you fail upwards. Okay, you shot someone in the back. Yeah.
Oh God! You shot
Everything
someone in
he
the back.
didn't want to do, he ends up doing.
Yeah, you're right.
And he got the girl. He got honeypotted into being a violent bodyguard.
Yeah.
Seriously, because then Mook is happy, Sweetala's happy, right?
Yeah.
Gaitok didn't look happy in that final scene when he was hugging Mook and then driving away.
He was happy to have Mook. I'm telling you, he's going to be happy for a little while. It's going to wear off, but he's going to be happy for a while.
It doesn't. Oh man, you already said Brian told you you're the most amazing wife and stuff, but with Mook, he's not going to be happy for life unless he's a complete just fucking idiot and gives up his entire life for her, which he already did.
And by the way, Brian doesn't say that. I think he thinks it, but he wouldn't want to give me a big head, so he didn't say it.
I'll talk to him this weekend.
Yeah.
When I see you at the Warriors game. But okay, cool. We should do some tea time now.
Yeah, let's do tea time.
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
I think I'm ready for the tea.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about the White Lotus. Thank you, Mike White.
Yeah.
You deranged motherfucker. So, okay, let me set the story where White Lotus, obviously created by Mike White. I don't know if he put his name into the White Lotus.
I was thinking that. I was like, is that why it's
Since
White
it's a
Lotus?
made-up hotel, but who knows? So Mike White came out this morning, and apparently people thought season 3 was a slow burn. And his quote, I just wanted to read it, and this is the tea.
Go for it.
So Mike White had to respond to season 3 viewers, right? Complaining about like the slow burn, essentially. Like it's boring, blah, blah, blah. 90 minutes for the last episode. So what he literally says is the pacing and the vibe, it definitely gets under their skin. There was complaining about how there's no plot. That part I find weird. It never did. Part of me is just like, bro, this is the vibe. I'm world building. If you don't want to go to bed with me, then get out of my bed. I'm edging you. Enjoy the edging. If you don't want to be edged, then get out of my bed. Do you know what I mean? Don't be a bossy bottom. Get the fuck out of my bed. Don't come home with me. Don't get naked in my bed. Get the fuck out of my bed. Obviously, something is going to happen. That's the tea.
Holy moly. Oh,
he
my
went
God.
off.
That's wild. But he's right. That's what was happening the whole season.
I didn't think it was a slow burn. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't agree with some of the writing, but what the fuck am I going to do? Write something better? Hell fucking no. This was an amazing series. The viewership grew 30% from season 2 to season 3. And the viewership grew from episode 1 to episode 8. He did everything right.
Yeah.
He did everything white.
In all the characters, you can see something of yourself or someone you know that you love and that you hate. You know, like in all of the ladies, I could see something of myself or someone that I know and something that I love and something that I hate. And that's how I kind of feel like that for the Ratliffs. We've been talking about how we know they see people that can act similar in certain situations. So I think that's what's cool about it. And that's what was fun. That was the edge.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Even Zion, who's supposed to be like a harmless, great character, he was cringy and annoying. But it doesn't mean that we're going to shit on him. It means he's a human being with different takes on what we might do in that situation. So every character was flawed. My biggest concern about the character, I already said, was Rick. He was too one-dimensional. Everybody else was cool. Saxon's character arc was great. Lachlan was great. Piper's character arc, I like that, actually.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a spoiled white girl would do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, Buddha this, Buddha that. No, I'm all right.
Yeah.
No, I'm cool. Where's my wine cooler at, bitch? Like,
yeah. As soon as Lachlan's like, oh, I'd want to stay with you, she's like, I don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
You know?
No, dude, we don't need part 2 of Lachlan's incest fest. So we'll
seriously.
chill off that. But that's the tea, guys. Episodes 1 through 7 was a slow burn. Everyone got mad. Mike White got mad. Don't
Everyone
get
got
into
edged.
his fucking bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be edged.
Yeah.
Don't get in there.
I don't really know what edging is, but maybe I'll do it later. Who knows? I'm going to be alone forever, right? So.
Why not?
Yeah, hopefully not. Hey, this was fun.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
So it was a wild ride.
Yeah.
And we got more coming. We got Dr. Amrita coming, and she's going to tell us all about
Shalini Paris,
all the things.
Based out of the UK. She plays Dr. Amrita. We will release that episode next on Thursday. Thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with us for 8 episodes. I think we should jingle out of here. Shabnam, tell everyone what to do.
Yeah, so don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, wherever, but mostly Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And rate us 5 stars on every platform that you listen to us on. If you're on one like Apple that has a place where you can write us a review, write us a nice review.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it. Comment on YouTube on our podcast videos, and tell us what you think.
Shabnam's saying don't be shy. She's saying don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Just come at
email
us
us at chiafterdark@chiafterdark.com too.
Come at us with that Rick energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can handle it, right? You see how we talk. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Hey,
Yeah.
amor fati, okay?
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. It's not the coconut milk.